Alright, now we're going to start to look at how to make something a little bit more seamless as far as going from the surface of the context up and into the building, because this really won't do. So this is about running from Revit to Rhino and workflows that way. So what you need to be doing, if you want to move into Rhino, you'll use DWG. And if you want to move models, 3D work, into Rhino, you have to be in the 3D view. And essentially, you then want to hide everything that you don't want to come into your model. So this piece we will go ahead and hide. And we don't really need that piece either. Okay, so we're left with just the building. So once you've got that set up, you're in a 3D view. Go to Export, go to CAD Formats, DWG. There'll be a couple things we need to click here. Those three dots, you want to click that. And then let's go to a ASCII solid. And in units, more than likely I built this in feet, so I don't want to convert. And I think that's it. Oh, the last thing would be turn this to 2007 format. Alright, those are the three things. Solids, foot, and 2007. Alright, so then next, figure out where it's going to go. This is where I'm going to stick mine. And once that gets done, we'll open up into Rhino. Alright, now that we're in Rhino, we're going to go ahead and insert, and let's have it come in as individual objects. I think the way that it's going to pop in will be, oh, I actually want to do that. Grab the right file. Because we're going to end up needing some control over it. Say yes through these. Not sure what it doesn't like, but we'll go ahead and assume that it's going to give us enough of what we do like. And once it comes in, we're going to have to adjust some of the layer colors, because Revit, and well, Autodesk just has bad colors for layers. So yeah, looks terrible. And you might have some geometry that you might need to click through and delete, just so you can visually see what's what. We're not planning on keeping any of this. This is actually just so we can start working in Rhino and make some adjustments so we can import back into Revit. So I'm going to, just because I can't stand these colors, I'm going to go ahead and change them to black, and so they don't look so hideous. And I'm going to hide that. Looks like it had some issue with our base geometry that we just created. Alright, that's alright. Really all we're trying to do here is get it back into Rhino, so that we can build something here at the base that will basically transfer us from the sidewalk and into our building. And so it doesn't matter really how it looks. What you could try, if you had some kind of geometry that really doesn't look good and you really wanted to kind of keep it in Rhino, is just import each of the major items. So I might just hide everything in Revit and bring this in and see if it likes it then. It may have been just way too much information for it to kind of capture. Alright, so what we're going to do is let's create a new layer in Final, and this will be our base layer. That looks good. Maybe I'll call it light gray. And we need to make sure the C plane is this is where we had set up to be 0 in Revit world, so we're going to find that. I'm just going to use the C plane set plane to object, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle from here to here. Actually, I'm going to turn on project, and I'm going to draw a rectangle from that corner all the way to the corner of my building. So that's kind of the perimeter of the building. And then I might also draw the other one that is pretty much the property line. I'm going to go ahead and project that down. Make sure that you have a surface here for it to project onto. That's what I just turned on. You should from the original videos. So select that, project down. Okay, now I'm going to hide it again. It's kind of annoying. Alright, and I'm going to delete that. This one above. Alright, so I have this. Looks like that's not quite where it should be. Move that in a foot. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start thinking about, see how the elevation changes here and drops down. So I think what I'm going to do is create a stair. That'd be a stair on this side, but then it'll become flush with the sidewalk on this side. So I'm going to show you a new trick in Rhino. It's called record history. And we're going to turn that bad boy on, and essentially it's going to remember what you've done this next transformation. So if I use loft, and let's check to see if my seams are correct. They're probably close enough. Okay, and let's go ahead and make that, change its layer to this one. Okay. Alright, now here's the magic. You had record history on, so if we change this layer, or this geometry, and let's say we move this in 12 feet, and we move this one in 12 feet, you should have seen just now, whoa, something did not go right. Something it doesn't like about the seams. Alright, let's try that again. Let's try the loft again. We'll make sure the record history is on. See how this arrow and that arrow are different different directions? I'm going to get these things to be kind of better aligned. And I'm going to use straight sections. That's important too, not normal, just straight sections, because this is a pretty straightforward piece. Alright, so now if I change this, move it in 12 feet, hopefully, you can see that the loft command actually held on to that information. So maybe I want to move this in also 12 feet. See how that works. It's a really nice feature. You can do that with a lot of different commands. You can be doing sweep 1 rail, 2 rail, and whatnot. And as long as you don't delete the geometry, it'll hold onto the recorded history. And I don't think you can't move it together. It'll tell you this warning sign, dragging broke history. So that's your warning. So this is pretty cool because now I've got this transition, but now let's make that a stair. Contour, point to point, 6 inches. Oh, before I do that, contour, join curves. That's really important. So join curves by, I think polysurface will work. So that, up. Closing the curves, that's important also. And now we'll do the extrude planar curve. -6 inches. Great. And delete the surface. And now you can see we have these rather smooth. I would probably want to get rid of that one. And there might be some, if we're really going to get fussy, there's something we would do back here, kind of make that a little bit more seamless. But I think for our purposes right now, this is a pretty good transition from below up to kind of a more normal surface. So let's, we'll just export that back in as an SAT. And away we go. So select those objects. Not the base surface. For me, I'll just call it base. That's another thing I've done just for my own purposes. And in Revit, we will go, always do massing, in place mass. And then we'll insert, remember what you called it. The beauty of this is that you can work between Rhino and Revit constantly. So if there's something that's easier to do in Rhino, go into Rhino. Something easier to do in Revit, go into Revit. And you can start to tie these things together. Now, what I was doing here when I inserted it and made it an object, I've kind of blown it as far as kind of updating the Revit geometry. If I really was trying to make a very clear kind of connection between this model and my other model. But since I was just trying to get a piece of the design out of Rhino, and I'm really thinking my final output is going to be in Revit, then I think that workflow worked really well. Like I said, if you're going to go back into Rhino, probably need to develop a little bit more sophisticated way of making sure that some of these geometries, when they came in from Revit world, were not already mucked up. So I would start to look at smaller imports that could maybe get some of this stuff more refined and clean. Okay. All right. The designer in me is freaking out back here with that piece. Hopefully the designer in you is also freaking out. I will probably correct that for myself, but oh well. Okay, so this is the workflow. So I just finished the mass and I've got it all figured out. Great.